Hi, everybody. So this week I'm doing an English muffin bread. So this is a loaf of bread in the style of English muffins. And I'm going to do it a little bit differently this time because, as you can see, I don't have everything mise en place. I don't have my little bowls and everything measured out. I want to show you how really easy this one is. And I'm not going to use my scale today. I'm going to use cups and teaspoons and tablespoons and go that route. So, yeah, this is probably one of the easiest breads that I make. It's really good. It has a great texture to it, but it's super simple and you don't even use the mixer, to be honest. Okay, ready? Here we go. So we put everything into the big bowl. That's how we start. All right, so 5 3/4 cups of flour. Here we go. And I am using this other one to scoop it in because you do want that air in there, and that's how the weights are usually measured. I'm going to stop talking for a second so I don't lose count because that happens to me sometimes. 3, 4, 5 and 3/4. All right, 2 1/4 cups of water, warm water. 1 tablespoon of salt. Sugar. Yeast. You know what? I'm actually not going to do that because I had did salt. A tablespoon plus, this is half a teaspoon, which is 1 1/2. I need 1 1/4. All right. Oh, you know what? So I was going to use the wooden spoon, but for Christmas, I got this guy and I haven't gotten to use him yet. So this is a dough whisk. You can see it has, if I can do that maybe a little bit better. There you go. So there are different shapes and everything that you can have on this, but I'm going to do this one because I've wanted an excuse to use it. And instead of my wooden spoon, I'm going to do that. So you could use the mixer if you wanted for this, but seriously, the cleaning is more trouble than it's worth for this one. Sometimes it's totally worth it, but we're not going to do any hand kneading with this. We're just mixing it together. So this is a great one. All right, so it is getting stuck in there a little bit. But it was great for the beginning part. I'll have to learn more about him and his uses. But I'm going to switch just to the wooden spoon because I want to get this done quickly since I'm doing this kind of in real time with you guys. See, this is, I mean, it went really fast with the dough hook as well. But it's going to do that. And then you can just keep going with the spoon if you want. I'm just going to get this last bit together. It is a really soft dough, so I don't really want to, wow. Well, there we go. And it will be pretty kind of shaggy looking. It's not going to be smooth. And you're also not going to have much of a form to it. So you can see, I mean, it pulls apart pretty easily. It's exactly what you want. So I'm going to do this, cover it, and then let it rise for about an hour. We want it to double in size, and then we will move on to the next step of putting it into our loaf pan, and I'll show you that in a second. So for this one, it tells you to do 2 pans. This is a normal loaf pan, so it's fine, it's great. And you would do 2 of these. I like to use the Pullman loaf, even if I'm not putting the top on it. So you can see the size difference, and I just do the 1 of these. It's also deeper, so I'm just going to do the 1. And to prep this, you know what, let me prep this. I'm just going to spray. And then take some cornmeal. And the rougher texture cornmeal is nice on this because it does stick to the outside and give a really great texture to it. And I'm just going to get it all the way around there. I actually need more in there already. Best way to do this is over a sink. Since I'm over here though, I'll do it over this. So you can just catch anything that does come out. I'm just tapping it along all of the sides. All right. There we go. So this is my loaf pan and it's prepped. And we're gonna let this rise for an hour and move on to the next step. That's simple. All right, see you soon. Okay, so this finished its first rise and you can see it's grown quite a bit. I don't know if you can see bubbles. See if I can find a spot here. There are bubbles, it's grown, it's really light and fluffy. And I have my prepared loaf pan here, so I'm just gonna lightly sprinkle with flour. And then let me get a baking tool. And tip it out onto here. Now, for this, I need it about this long. So I'll just keep that in my head and I'm going to stretch it a little bit. I don't want to knock out all of the air. Some of it, I do a little bit, but I'm going to take this and make a rectangle. Try and make it as even as you can with thickness, otherwise you're going to end up with a high top here. All right, and then I'm just going to roll it so I get more of a finished look on it, and kind of tuck these under and kind of pinch it around a little bit. Tuck it under, pinch it around, and then put it in here. So with this, I usually try to start with the middle and try not to scrape too much as you go down the side, and because you want that cornmeal to stay on there. All right, and there it is. There we go. Okay, so now I'm gonna let it do its proving and then it'll be ready to bake. Okay, so the English muffin bread has been rising and you can see we've got some big bubbles here. I'm just going to pop those because I don't want them to scorch. I'm going to do that and then kind of tuck it down a little bit. It might inflate again when it goes and bakes, but that's okay. So I have preheated the oven to 350. I'm going to just brush a little bit of butter on here, and we're going to stop it during its bake after it's baked for about 30 minutes or so and do another brushing of butter. But I'm going to get a little bit on there right now. Being careful not to take out any of the air that's formed in there. Okay, so the bread has been in the oven for 30 minutes and I need to do another brushing of butter on top. I had to remelt the butter because it hardened in that 30 minutes, but take this out. You can see it's already getting golden brown there. So I don't want to take too long with this because I want it to retain that heat, but I'm going to do another brushing of this butter and it'll be even more golden brown. We'll put it in for another 10 minutes and then test the internal temperature, which we want to be at 190-ish for bread. All right, put it in. Okay, so my timer for the 10 minutes just went off, so I'm going to take it out and test the temperature. You can see how much more golden it is from that extra butter. So let's take this. We don't want to let too much time lapse before we do this. So I'm going to pick a spot over here and go towards the middle. Oh, yeah, we're at 204. So it's actually very good. And it's great. So I'm going to get a baking pan. So since we have that cornmeal on it, on all the sides, it does get a little bit messy when you take it out of this loaf pan. So I'm going to put it over this so it catches it and doesn't go over the counter. This should slide right out, hopefully, if did enough cornmeal. Yay! All right. So this has to cool completely, and then we can cut it open and do our taste test. But it looks great. I mean, it's golden from that cornmeal, and it obviously cooked all the way through, which is great, and really pretty on top too. So we'll let this cool. Do this so it has a little more air circulation underneath it. These are nice because these cooling racks, they collapse, but you can also stand them up and they stack. So I have 3 of them and they stack. So this is cooled now and I just transferred it over to the cutting board. But you can see how much of the cornmeal came off, and that's why I wanted to put this underneath the cooling rack so that it didn't get all over the counter. All right, here we go. Okay, so the sides and the bottom have the really nice cornmeal crust on it, and the top is really crispy from the bake. And then inside, it has all of these little holes, which is going to be perfect for the butter melting into it, or jam, or mayonnaise if you're doing a sandwich. So this is just a great bread. All right, here we go. And it has that nice little chewiness, but still airy that you would want from an English muffin. So really simple recipe to do, really simple ingredients, but it's a great staple to have around the house. And it's fun to make and eat, and hope you try. Thanks for joining me, and have a great week.